In today's show, I shall be doing a spot of sugar painting, as well as making my own sugar figurine.
The first time for me to try it myself though, and it's not as easy as it looks.
Learning about ancient tie and dye methods.
The finished product. Not bad for a first try, I think.
And getting my hands dirty, experiencing renowned Chinese porcelain making techniques.
我们双手呢，轻轻地抱住泥巴。
我们在做什么呢？
我们做一个这个碗。
没有问题。
So join me as I visit Sanya's Romance Park and indulge in a dose of traditional Chinese culture.
It's January in Sanya, the sun is shining and I'm wearing short sleeves. This is the high season here when tourists and visitors from around the country and the world flock here to all the major tourist attractions. One place that comes particularly highly recommended is here, Romance Park. You can try your hand at some interactive activities, you can learn about many aspects of Chinese culture, and there is a fantastic performance to see. Fun for all the family. Now let's go and get us some of that romance.
Sanya Romance Park has been described as a living historical town. The park is divided into different themed areas, each exhibiting aspects of Chinese culture.
Walking into the park, you'll pass through Totem Avenue, where you'll find one large pillar after another. These are symbols of good luck and feature such animals as snakes and frogs. They're said to bring plenty of rain for the harvest and plenty of children in your family.
Making my way along Totem Avenue, I feel as though I have stepped back in time, with mysterious totems harbouring age-old tales.
As first impressions go, this is a deep one. I notice if I walk down this street behind me that has been built to resemble Sanya in a bygone era. Shall we take a stroll?
The old streets are full of pavilions and pagodas, scents, sights and sounds. Pretty little shop fronts all in a row makes strolling down the lanes a distinctly pleasing experience.
这是唐画，中国唐画。
那是什么呢？
就是现在列为中国非物质文化遗产了。这是咱们中国几百年的历史了，一种手工艺，对，是一种文化，能吃的文化。
Sugar painting, as its name suggests, uses sugar as the raw material to paint a picture. There are many themed sugar paintings, including characters from Chinese opera, animals, or signs of the Chinese zodiac. Fond childhood memories for many of us, no doubt. Of course, you are free to use your imagination and create your own sugar painting masterpiece.
我女儿特别喜欢恐龙哈，
是吧？我可以带你体验一下，教你画一个恐龙送给你家闺女。
太棒了，
教你恐龙。
哇，好香啊这个。
因为这是麦芽糖。
Sugar painting typically uses a mixture of either brown or white sugar with a little bit of barley sugar. Gently bring the syrup to the boil on a low heat, and when the viscous liquid sticks together, it is time to do some sugar painting.
咱们先崴出一勺糖来，然后你攥着这个勺子，然后我来教你画恐龙。你手上来。
OK， 然后呢？
然后咱们先画一个圆圆的头。
但是太慢了，是不是会凝固的？
对，太慢了，糖就凝固了。咱把这个头填一下啊。
恐龙的头。
哎，然后从这儿出来，像一个3的样子。
那你怎么一条线就？
哎，等会儿啊，倒一下啊。然后后腿儿。
这个。
慢点，慢点，慢点，然后脖子，剩下的你自己来画，把这个勾上，好不好？你体验一下这糖。
在哪儿？
哎，对，把这个连接起来，把它的骨头，一定要倒一倒这个糖，倒一倒这个糖，一直到把它都填完。收糖的时候要迅速的把它收到锅里去。对，
要不然已经开始凝固了。
哎，要不然就溜上。哎，对，
哎，这样子，怎么样？
可以了，
哇塞，
第一次
嘛，
第一次肯定是要有一点难的。
那有什么特别的技巧吗？
技巧就是因为我们要每天练呀，每天练，肯定就是要熟练才行。每个图案都要记在脑子里，都是一笔画、简笔画。
A sugar painting must be completed in one go while the syrup is still hot and runny, an undertaking difficult for a beginner to accomplish. A lot of practice and discipline is required to produce a vivid sugar painting.
好啦，这个恐龙是你自己体验的，然后你可以拿回家送给你的女儿。
谢谢，她一定会喜欢。Over the years in China, I've seen this done at the side of the road many, many times. The first time for me to try it myself though, and it's not as easy as it looks, because you have to get it right the first time. The stream of sugar or caramel cannot break, and so that's why mine looks like this. But it's very nice. 谢谢，谢谢，谢谢。
Using a spoon as a brush and syrup as a paint, all of a sudden, an animated image comes into being. What is amazing about this syrup is that it can be used not only to paint, but also blown to become a 3D figurine. The sugar figurine, another traditional Chinese craft, is very popular among young children.
小朋友，你属什么呀？羊。来吹口气儿，进去。一个小绵羊跑里边了，我变进去了。咱们呢，就从这儿来吹。来，小朋友。哎呦，再吹。呵，好了，我们小朋友啊，亲自吹了个小羊，可够肥的。拿着。
This little lamb was made from simply blowing and shaping the syrup. I am so intrigued that I decide to learn one or two tricks from the master.
咱们俩合作一个，我的拿手绝活吹牛。
哎，我最擅长的
吹牛要变成一种乐趣
啊！
这是麦芽糖，
那你手里面是什么东西？
这是为了让它冷却，快速的冷却铝的，要快速的在手里像兰州拉面一样把它揉匀，就为的就是冷热均匀。你看，这样要快速的做出来一小窝头，趁热把口啊封装，然后再拉出来的这个尾巴就已经变成空心的了。
我懂了，里面是空气哈。
哎，吹，就往里边吹气，我来做造型。
从这里面吹，那不会坏掉吗？
不会的。哎呦，停，慢一点儿，你的肺活量太大了，轻轻的来吹。看见没有？这就叫吹牛，以前都是假的。再吹，使劲。
不会爆炸吗？
再吹。轻轻的啊，停，吹牛成功。
成功了。哦，好硬，哎，比较硬的。
一捏就坏了，这个。
反正坏掉了，我还是尝一下。
哎呦，怎么样？
让我们回到童年了，有一点我们那个架上的这个焦糖味的，有点像。老师，这个已经坏了，我能不能重新做一个？但是这次我自己来可以。
没问题。这次想做个什么？
我属马，做个马可以吧？
做个马。
好嘞。
这个你先摸一下。
好。哇，烫！
哦，我来给你做好吧。非常烫的。你一边吹，
哎好，
你一边捏。
来，
吹。哎呦呵，赶紧这用这个手捏耳朵啊！哎，对，捏。哦，捏。
像个泰迪熊。
再捏个鼻子往外拽。
Well, I had been aiming for a blue horse, but instead have ended up with this nondescript blob.
还是请老师帮忙，这个很难，都固体化了，我的动作太慢了。
这个东西呢，近100度的高温，见空气瞬间就凉了。你要是弄不好了，那就
重新来。
Ultimately, it is with the teacher's help that I make my very own and very lifelike white horse.
So this looks more difficult than whatever that was over there, or making pictures with sugar, and it really is. It's quite hard on the lungs and the mouth and the lips, but I'm sure you'll agree I've made something resembling a horse, so I feel quite proud of myself.
Whether it be the sparkling sugar figurines or the brilliant sugar paintings, they both invoke strong childhood memories for Chinese people.
Now, walking down the street here, I've seen a few characters that I recognize. 手工扎染坊, which roughly translates as tie and dye clothing. Now, tie and dye is a well-known Chinese tradition. Apparently here, you can have a go at doing it yourself, so let's go in.
Tie and dye is a traditional dyeing technique of the Chinese Han ethnic group, which dates back 1,000 years. It consists of two essential processes, tying and dyeing, and it begins with tying the cloth.
我们先拿一个纯白色的白布，然后就是拿一根白色的带子。
哦，好。
我们要准备开始抓衣服，抓一层，然后再伸右手抓一点起来，哎。
为什么要这么做呢？
这样就是扎了它的花。
有特别的一个技术吗？这个？
这个就是随机染的。
哦。
然后再用绳子这样子缠住。
As I am just a beginner, Yang Mei teaches me how to tie the most basic knots.
看起来不怎么漂亮。
可以，第一次已经很不错了。
第二步呢？
第二步开始染，这边。我们第一步缠好了，我们要浸泡到水里。
那为什么要让那个水的泡透呢？
泡透了，省得它那个蓝色浸到里面去，要不然整件衣服都是蓝色的了。
哦，懂了。那这个染料是用什么做的呢？
纯植物，有板蓝根呀、丁香花这些东西。
我看你这里摆的很多小碗呢，这个。
对，就是那些。
就像中药一样啊。
这些植物都可以喝的。
你等会给我泡一杯吧。
好。
After wetting the cloth and then wringing out some of the water, it is then placed into a bucket of dye. 10 minutes is long enough for the cloth to absorb the dye.
好，时间到了，可以拿出来了。
好嘞。
捏一捏，
怎么是绿色的呢？
氧化一下就变成蓝色。
Well, now that's interesting. Look at that. Hey, it's changing. I took it out and it was light green. It's now sort of medium to dark green. And by the minute, in 2 or 3 minutes, it's going to be the same color as that. Blue. Mysterious.
已经氧化好了，可以拆了。
Okay. Right.
After watching the dyed item 2 or 3 times, you can slowly see the pattern emerging.
哈哈，成品来了。Oh, the finished product. Not bad for a first try, I think. I don't know what it looks like. It looks like the Himalayas or something, as seen from above, I think, or that's my imagination. Anyway, well, it was quite a simple process, simpler than I thought, actually, although very traditional. Very different to the one that I did in home economics class in my school days. That was also simple, but we just knotted a few corners of the t-shirt. This, though, there's a greater cultural element to this. I like it.
After tying, soaking, dyeing, and washing the cloth, you are able to make your very own tie and dye artwork. You can find many similar kinds of cultural experiences within Romance Park until well into the evening. After wandering around the little shops, I find another rather interesting cultural morsel for me to sink my teeth into.
Yet another of the multitude of activities available to punters here at Romance Park is pottery, and so I've come here to the pottery shop. As you can see, there is an exquisite display of beautifully made cups and bowls and trinkets and knickknacks of all descriptions, many of which have a distinctly Chinese flavour. Now I'm gonna have a go and get my hands dirty, so come and have a look and see how bad I am.
Porcelain is made of clay. Chinese porcelain has had a reputation throughout the world for its exquisite and delicate techniques since ancient times, and is one of China's most recognizable calling cards. This is my first time at making porcelain.
我们双手呢，轻轻地抱住泥巴。
OK， 我们在做什么呢？
我们做一个这个碗。
没有问题。
好，让我们大拇指放到中心点，用力往下压。我们先把它的深度给它做出来。然后呢，大拇指我们放到里面，按住旁边的泥，好，把它拉开，这个同心圆它就会变大啊。
Porcelain is originally molded from soft clay, which means you have to employ gentle yet firm hand movements.
这个深度呢，是不是还不够深，对不对？
是的。
好，那我们再给它做深一点。那左手呢，还和刚才一样，右手呢，这次我们要换一个手势，4个手指头并拢。然后呢，我们2个手的大拇指同时放到这个杯底，继续用力往下。对了，非常好啊。那深度呢，就决定碗的大小。
差不多了。
力气减小，手拉起来。好，你看这个深度，我们是不是就做出来了？
可以，差不多了，对。
那现在碗的这个宽度。给它打开
Yes。
好，那我们2只手呢，手平平的，对，大拇指呢朝下，好，同时放到杯底，好，然后呢手指头绷直，我们往2边给它拉开，
慢慢慢慢，
对，不要太快。
Making porcelain requires both boldness and caution, with sleight of hand and eye, as well as great patience. Only then can the clay be molded into the desired shape.
那深度和宽度我们都做好了，那现在我们是不是要把它的高度给它捏起来？
薄一点的这个。
对，薄一点，高一点。那我们左手呢，还和刚才一样。那右手呢，我们手立起来，4个手指头并拢。
这里。
对，放到对面。大拇指我们放到杯底，里面的大拇指和外面的手指头轻轻的一点一点的捏紧。
OK， 有感觉了。
手慢慢的提起来，好，打开就可以了。是不是长高了，对不对？
同志们快看，
对，
有成就感了。Well, this really takes me back to my art lessons in secondary school when we used to play around with clay and pottery. Obviously, we didn't have a potter's wheel in those days, which makes it all the easier. It's easier under the expert tutelage of this professional here. I suspect if he were not here, it would be a very different story. 来，我们继续吧。
那我们就把它的方形给它做出来。
好，
手指头先放到里面，轻轻的往下压。好，手轻轻的抽走。对了，
作为一个初级者的话，还行吧，
已经很不错了。
那这个我能拿走吗？
这个呢，我们是需要烧制的，烧一遍的话，我们需要2天2夜。
那怎么办呢？我还很喜欢这个蓝色的这个，
我送给你。
非常好，非常好，谢谢老师，
不客气，
我一定会 保管好。Well, I've tried my hand at Li ethnic pottery before, and although that obviously had its own intrinsic beauty, it was, compared to this, very primitive. This, on the other hand, is very sophisticated. You need to employ lots of little delicate movements to be able to make these exquisite porcelain knickknacks and bowls and all kinds of other things. So these hands I don't think are made for that kind of work, so I'll leave that to the professionals. When night falls and the lights come on, the park becomes resplendent with the decoration of colourful illumination. Walking through the lanes in the park of an evening is a fascinating new experience. Hey, what the hell? This is made of a gourd, I think, isn't it, this? Very interesting indeed. Oh, plenty more interesting things over here. African drums, no less, and all manner of them. Yeah, very nice. I wish I could play them properly. I wonder whether they're made in Africa, though. If you happen to have your eyes set on a particular drum, but aren't sure whether it is quite you or not, you are invited to beat a drum or two outside the shop. 其实我的节奏感很差，怎么弄？ The superb collection of paraphernalia in the park offers visitors dazzling choices. It is the perfect chance to do some gift shopping for your family. 有包，有装饰品。Hey, really nice. 都是手工的吗？
都有手工的，我们有南非草编的、藤编的都有的。
Very nice. They're all handmade and they're all made of grass or something like that, some vegetation. I wonder, maybe my mother-in-law would like something too. Aside from the everyday accessories, some ornaments with a cultural hue catch my attention. Aha, Hainan Opera. In this shop, they're selling all kinds of little figurines, and there are pens and various other knickknacks and things, all in the style or in the theme of Hainan Opera. Take, for example, this one. The details are exquisite, and the clothing beautiful and colourful. Oh, haha, look at this. Whee! Ha ha ha. Oh, and look at this. Absolutely beautiful. Ha ha ha. So by opening a shop like this and by producing these little knickknacks, I suppose they hope that more and more visitors will come in and buy these things in the hope that they'll be passed down, and people will remember Hainan Opera. Among all the quaint little shops, the one that speaks to me most is the delightful Bijou post office. Although it says post office on the sign above my head, it doesn't look like a common or garden post office. In fact, it looks rather inviting. 你好，
随意了解。
Hey. Oh, they've got some lovely little fridge magnets here that I tend to collect wherever I go. Sanya scenery, little knickknacks. Oh, an absolute must when on holiday, a postcard. All lots of beautiful scenes of Sanya here. 你好，
你好，
这里后面是什么呢？
这些的话都是寄给未来的信，您可以现在把未来想对自己啊或者对家人说的话写好之后，选择一个时间，我们到时间再把你邮寄出去。你也可以直接当天邮寄都可以的。
但这个还是蛮有意思的。我要写一份给我女儿的信哈。
哦，可以的，你喜欢哪些随意选就好了。
我就选一个天涯海角。To my dearest daughter Molly, although I am at work much of the time, you are always in my thoughts. All my love, Daddy. 那我现在就寄出去可以吧？
好的，这个就交给我就好了。
好了，谢谢。Sauntering around the park all day might make you feel a bit weary. So why not have a sit down and take in what is perhaps the most impressive show you will ever see, the romantic show of Sanya. The first act is the preface, Lobby Cave, which tells the story of how 10,000 years ago, ancestors of the Chinese created a prehistorical civilization in Sanya. The second act is called Deer Legend, and it tells the beautiful love story of a fairy goddess who was punished and turned into a deer because she longed to be with her love, an ordinary mortal. Part 1 focused on the traditional Hainan love story, actually from Sanya. I've been in Hainan a long time, so I had heard that story before, but their depiction of it was really superb. I loved it.
The third act is about the well-known Chinese heroine, Madame Xian. The performance is a powerful portrayal of her love for her family and her country. The remarkable lighting and music dramatically illustrate scenes of war in bygone days. Time passes and global trade gives rise to the maritime Silk Road.
Part 3 is about the Silk Road. Perhaps you know that Hainan played an important part in the maritime Silk Road.
Sanya Port as a major transit point on the maritime Silk Road during the Song dynasty. Commodities from many different countries were traded and exchanged here, as were different cultures. This is the opening to the fifth act, entitled Eastward Voyage of Zhenzhen. Eastward Voyage of Zhenzhen uses breathtaking acrobatic techniques to showcase the hardship that Zhenzhen had to endure during his journey. This fabulous performance leaves the audience lingering and wanting more.
After a particularly memorable day here at Romance Park, I now know that it offers a whole myriad of culture and entertainment, many of which visitors can experience themselves with their own hands.
Romance Park treats punters to an absolutely mind-blowing artistic performance, not to mention a whole host of cultural activities such as sugar figurines, tie and dye, and porcelain making. It is surprisingly pleasant that in the southernmost city of China, I can enjoy both the tropical climate and learn so much about Chinese traditional culture. In the future, I shall be able to show the whole world the allure and the diversity of China's culture.
这里是海南卫视。